During the Athens Olympics, a girl from Gunnedah became a household name.
The second in the history of women's racing.
An Australian champion taking on the world, and she conquered it. An Olympic champion.
Got goosebumps now even just thinking about that moment.
But who is she, and what is she up to now?
Russell, do something!
Dwayne Russell played with the mighty Geelong Cats.
Go!
Now he's a football commentator who loves to get out on the bike. With plenty of competitive spirit, he's ready to tackle the hot lap.
And look out, France, I'm coming.
We all want to see cycling numbers grow, and Australia's leading demographer Bernard Salt is optimistic. But what's needed to make it happen?
Oh, a big crash. Tinkoff sacks.
And with the World Championships coming to a close, does Robbie McEwen have a hot tip as to who will take the rainbow jersey?
Michael Matthews is heading for the gold medal here.
All this and more coming up in the Bike Lane. Hello and welcome to the Samsung Bike Lane. It's that time of year where we talk a little bit less about racing, although we're going to do plenty of that, and a bit more about some of the riding that we're doing ourselves. I'm Matt Keenan, joined by Robbie McEwen. Robbie, good to have you back on the show.
Mate, good to be back in the bike lane.
Now, you on the bike?
Little bit, yeah, a couple of hours a day, 4 days a week, maybe 5.
Yeah, okay. Are you competitive with yourself?
I just want to feel that I can push the pedals if I feel the need.
Yeah.
I find it really frustrating if I'm out riding and even if I don't want to do it, if it's not there, I just need to know it's got to be there.
Yeah.
So I like being a bit more fitter than I am.
Yeah. Most of us were on the Tour de France, and Robbie is one of these that is included, don't get to ride a bike. We come home, we're unfit. You came home and you rode the Queensland Cyclocross National title and you won.
Well, yeah, I rode the state title. I lined up. I thought I'll make up the numbers because, you know, it's an emerging sport and I enjoy it. I mainly took my son up to race and then I got pressured in. I thought, well, I'm here, I'm clipped in, I'm going to have a go, and I managed just to hang on.
Oh, yeah.
If they'd known how much I was hurting, they could have got rid of me, but I guess I bluffed them.
Right, so let's talk a little...
Like the rest of my life,
yeah, you've done some good bluffing in your day. Let's talk a little bit about racing. I'm just on the back of covering the Volta a España. There's always that debate, which was the most entertaining of the three big three-week races. And everybody tries to pitch an argument as to why it wasn't the Tour de France. And it definitely wasn't the Giro d'Italia. As entertaining as it was, I thought it was number 3, but the Australians did really well.
Yeah, well, I'm with you there at number 3. Like we saw, Contador, he was dominant.
Yeah.
But from an Australian point of view, I mean, 3 different guys in the pink jersey. Orica Green Edge won the team's time trial. Gerrans wore pink. Went to Matthews, he won a stage in it. Went on to Simon Clark. Another great show of that famous mateship within the team of Orica Green Edge. Reminiscent of the time Gerrans passed yellow to Impey in the Tour. So it was a great tour for the Australians, and we saw Adam Hansen, another Aussie, setting another milestone on his way to a record in terms of Grand Tours ridden in a row. It was a great tour for Aussies, but yeah, number 3. It made the podium of the Grand Tours.
Yeah.
What else is it going to do? But yeah, it was number 3 in terms of excitement overall, I think.
The Tour. So you got to cover it from the other side of the fence for the first time. I thought it was an anticlimax. I was expecting a lot more from the Tour this year, but Froome had a stranglehold on the race from a long way out.
Well, I was in the camp where I thought, well, it's going to get boring now. Froome came out and annihilated them after the first rest day, that day in the Pyrenees. After that, he seemed to have a little bit less control as his team, day by day, there was always an important guy who had a bad day. Richie would have a bad day, or Geraint had a bad day. Someone always would sort of jump in and fill in, but then Quintana made those attacks in the last couple of days. I just think he started too late to give us the excitement we deserved.
Yeah.
No, the excitement we wanted, the really big finish.
Exactly.
He got close, but I think he's probably kicking himself for not starting early, and he saw the damage he did when he went so late. But it's such a hard thing to judge within yourself. Can I go from that far? What have I got left in the tank? But he didn't risk losing it all.
Froome wasn't vulnerable until that point anyway.
He got only vulnerable in the last couple of days. But I stand by it. I say Quintana didn't risk losing everything in order to win the Tour. He was always sure of his podium place, his second place, but he had to risk throwing it away to try and win the Tour de France.
I'd make the argument that the Vuelta, as a race in isolation, was actually a more entertaining race because it was on the line all the way down to the very end. But there's much more at stake at the Tour de France.
There is. I think that the Vuelta, it's one of those races where some guys are building up to Worlds, some guys are getting a bit of a repechage, you might say, failed Tour, go to the Vuelta, or they've ridden the Giro and you can ride Giro and Vuelta together in the one season. I think you can combine those two, riding for GC like Aru has proved, second in the Giro, first in the Vuelta. But it was a very exciting race amongst those guys. But I think the Tour wins out for daily drama. I mean, those big crashes were part of it, and I don't like to see that. I don't think it adds to the excitement. It's just bad luck seeing guys get injured.
Coverage.
It does. It goes viral, as they say. But that's not what did it for me in the Tour. I think the best guys in their best form and performing under pressure in the race with the most at stake, and that's why it remains on the top step of the podium.
I think it always will, almost no matter what happens, because at the Vuelta, as entertaining as it was a fantastic event to cover, but the big protagonists were 25 years of age or under. Caleb Ewan winning a stage was great, but Dumoulin, 24, Aru, 25, and Rodriguez in second position. You know, he wasn't able to contend for the podium or the top 5 at the Tour. So the Tour always stands out because it's the best at their very best. But the Vuelta's got better hotels. The food's better in Spain than it is in France. And I really enjoyed covering the race.
But as the French very simply put it, and the Europeans in general, the Tour is the Tour.
It is the
It's
Tour.
ambiguous, but you get it.
It's that. Yeah, OK. Well, one woman that was never intimidated by racing, and she rose to the occasion when she put a number on, the Olympic Games gold medalist from Athens in 2004, Sarah Carrigan. She's coming up next.
Yeah, this is by far, the happiest day in my career.
But it is King Caleb who delivers on stage 5. Caleb Ewan in his first Grand Tour. The pocket rocket explodes. The class has ridden to the top.
Welcome back to the Samsung Bike Lane. It's time to catch up with one of the stars of Australian cycling, Sarah Carrigan, who's on to the next chapter in her life. And this is the first in our series, the Colonial First State Next Chapter.
Carrigan gets the gold medal. The first since Kathy Watt in 92, the second in the history of women's racing.
I think the moment for me that really sticks in my mind as Athens 2004 Olympics. When I think about it, the memories are still really so fresh. I mean, Dad was on that last corner with the Australian flag and the cowboy hat, yelling "Boggy, boggy, boggy," which is the country town that we're from.
Sarah Carrigan, well, she can't believe it.
The noise that was going on in that last lap of the race was so much, but yet I was so calm and so controlled inside. It was something that then spurred me on for that final part to come around and that finish line. I actually thought in the years leading up, if I ever won an Olympic gold medal, that I would cry on the podium. But I was just filled with so much joy and elation and excitement that I was beaming, and there was definitely not going to be any tears happening at that moment.
Hundreds of mourners packed into a small chapel to pay their last respects to Amy Gillett.
The biggest obstacle for me was the death of Amy Gillett. I didn't actually realise it at the time. It was a massive, tragic event. But I didn't realise how it would affect me afterwards.
You can't explain it. It's a friend.
My first race back was a World Cup in Nuremberg, and I couldn't sit in the bunch, I couldn't corner, I couldn't descend, all of these things that came naturally to me. When I first started cycling, all of a sudden I couldn't do them. I had to be like this investigator to work out, well, how did I used to descend and corner so well? How did I sit in a bunch and just navigate through the middle of the bunch without hassle or worry or concern or fear? So fear had really crept in. Even though I wasn't in that training bunch, it affected every part of my being as a cyclist, but then from a life point of view, it just gave me so much perspective. Just last year, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the Amy Gillett Share the Road tour, and that was just beautiful to reconnect with Amy's parents, Mary and Dennis and Simon.
Here comes Carrigan, here comes Art! Maxine puts her arms up! I think Sarah Carrigan will claim victory.
I definitely miss the being in the bunch and the tactics of it all and that real adrenaline rush. I do miss that. When I have the chance to sit down and watch live races, so when we had the women's on the La Course, oh man, it'd be so cool to be in the bunch. And in fact, when I was doing some DS work through the NRS series and when I went overseas as the assistant junior coach and also helping Marv for the elite women, I definitely had some feelings of, man, I'd love to be in that bunch. It was a really natural progression for me to turn to coaching. I always wanted to be a teacher when I was younger. It's all about the other people. I've been coaching people that have never ridden a bike ever once in their life. And so to take them through that journey of taking their first pedal is just beautiful. Yes, the next chapter of my life now involves my little girl Bobby and my husband, and I tell you, it has been just absolutely amazing. She will be on a bike eventually. A lot of people are asking, has she got a bike yet? But she's only just turned 3 months, and she certainly loves the movement. I think because when I was pregnant, I was always so active. So now, any bit of movement, she's like, oh, what's happening? What's going on? Let's meet lots of people. So, yeah, Steve-O is also a wonderful dad.
Much like when she was on the bike, Sarah Carrigan off the bike, full of class. Robbie, she actually didn't win much, but when she won big.
Oh yeah, it counted, and that's the thing. She wasn't known as a big winner, very solid team performer, a great teammate. By all accounts, everybody loves her. But, you know, you don't need to have won many races when you've won an Olympic gold medal. When you got one of those, you don't need anything else.
We recently attended the Asia Pacific Cycle Congress, where it was a good opportunity to catch up with some of the real thinkers about cycling and where it's headed. And most of us, we want to see cycling go mainstream for health reasons, transport, the list goes on. So we caught up with KPMG's at Bernard Salt, who's one of Australia's leading demographers, and according to him, things are looking pretty good.
I have a very simple proposition, and that proposition is that I think that we are on the cusp of what I would call a cycling tsunami. This is being driven by a number of factors, partly by the surge in the school-age population driven by high birth rates over the last decade, but also by the ageing of the baby boomers. As the baby boomers push beyond 60, their knees go, and they will embrace wellness, well-being, fitness, and cycling, of course, naturally fits that mould. I think that we will see a surge, in fact, in cycling over the next decade, driven by demographic factors.
If he's right and the numbers are coming, then we're in business. Fantastic. But are they coming?
Well, I'm a little bit sceptical. He talks about a cycling tsunami, all these kids being born, but are they going to grow up riding bikes? Are they going to grow up riding to school, have that basis of riding a bike and commuting?
The numbers have been going the other way for a long time.
Exactly. There's in the old days, a lot of kids would ride to school. Now it's been a complete flip. They're all getting dropped off. It's not safe enough. Parents don't want to put their kids on bikes to go to school, not even to go to the shops. So a lot needs to be done. Maybe not a tsunami, but a big, strong flow of water, call it, but there needs to be a canal, i.e. segregated bike paths. It's about infrastructure. Build it and they will come.
Infrastructure is a key.
If you're 65 or 70, you have less reflexes, and you might be less inclined to actually get out there amongst the traffic. And I think very much the same applies to school-age kids, primary school and secondary school kids. We really should be protecting in terms of building in bike lanes, bike paths, to ensure that the feeder areas into schools are well protected from traffic. Investment in infrastructure really does pay benefits in terms of bike usage, and then wellness, well-being, the health dividends, the wellness dividends that delivers to society are immeasurable.
So what can we do to influence government thinking?
There is a census in August of next year. At the last census, 104,000 people rode to work on census day. Is it immoral for the cycling community to run a program to encourage as many cyclists as possible to ride to work on census day, which is a Wednesday in August in 2016, and therefore increase those numbers?
So it sounds like it's pretty simple. Census day next year, ride to work. You've never had a real job anyway, but are you going to ride?
Come on, I mean, okay, bike riding was a hobby turned, got paid for it, not really a job, but now I'm chief taste tester at my cafe. That's a job.
Pretty hard. How far is it from home?
800 metres. But I'll ride to work that day to whatever make the numbers stack up.
Yeah, good. So Robbie's committed, so I hope you are as well. And you probably got a real job. Coming up next, we're heading out to the hot lap, Dwayne Russell. He was a good footballer at Geelong, great caller with Fox Footy. What's he like on a bike?
What a stunning finish to the World Road Race Championships. Rui Costa takes the victory.
I guess for me the absolute pinnacle is the World Championships. If there was one race that I could choose to win, that would be the world titles.
Koski, what a brilliant day for the Poles. Simon Gerrans, by the way, a silver medal for Australia.
Simon Gerrans from Australia.
To have that rainbow jersey for the next 12 months would be a massive honour, and I guess that's the one race that I do dream of winning.
Welcome back to the Samsung Bike Lane. It's time to head out to the hot lap. First up this series, it's Dwayne Russell, who first made a name for himself as a footballer with Geelong in the AFL. Since, he's better known as a broadcaster with Fox Footy and 3AW. But he's a guy that clearly played sport pretty hard. He's had multiple knee reconstructions, which led him to riding a bike. He's fairly competitive. Let's see how he goes. Dwayne, let's talk about your football career before we get onto the bikes. Geelong, I've got you down as 80 games.
Yeah, well, you can say 80. No one will really know. It was only 50. But I was there for 5 years, slaving away with, guys like Ablett and Brownless and Stoneham and Linder.
Went okay?
Having an absolute ball, we were.
Yeah.
We've had some of the greatest end-of-season trips of any football team, I think, of that era.
How long have you been on the bike as a semi-professional?
Well, I've had 14 knee ops, so I can't...
beats you.
Yeah, that's beaten me by 9 knee ops.
You need to find something for your fitness, otherwise I'd be a big fat slob, and I'd get out on the bike, 6 times a week if I can.
All right, you ready to rock and roll?
I am. I'm excited. I've got my name written on the road halfway down it. So go Dwayne. I've always wanted to have my name written in chalk.
Let's do it.
I'm ready to go.
This is it, Dwayne.
Rightio.
It's like the centre bounce at the MCG.
Yeah.
Your big test. McEwen?
I'm ready for it.
I like the pump up. Give me more of a pump up.
A bit more of a pump up. You can hear the siren?
Russell, you're hopeless. I like a bit of that abuse. That's what I need.
Russell, do something.
That's it.
3, 2, 1, go. Ginger start. It's taken a while to get the foot in.
Oh, it took lost a lot of time.
All right, here we go. Don't whimper down the hill. Don't whimper down the hill. Go hard or go home.
Performance pressure, when it comes down to the real thing, getting that foot in gets so difficult. First time in practice, nailed it. Anyway, he is in for a world of hurt.
Come on! Come on!
100 kilo to drag around here. He's all biceps. If he can bench press his way from the corner to the finish line, he might have a reasonable time.
Push it out. Don't throw up on the camera.
Time prediction?
1:49.
I'll be a little more generous. I'll go 1:45. I wouldn't mind seeing him about now. Because we're at the 1:20 mark.
Here's the motorbike. I see him. He's just hit the hill, 1:23.
I think you've undersold him.
I
think I've undersold
Depends
him.
how much he bulks down, but he's got the big gear rolling. You're going to see it on the pitch as that camera swivelling side to side, but
he will not.
Oh, he gutted.
Second lap.
He's gutted it. That's bloody good. That's way off.
He won't want a second lap.
It's nice. Little, probably 210 heart rate there. Maybe 220. Feel like I could get rid of breakfast at any stage. So keep your distance. But now I start to feel a bit better. Oh.
Here he comes for the moment of truth. The time. Oh, we're going to lose him.
Keep it out of the gutter.
You want a second one?
Oh yeah, I reckon by the time I get to about the 5th one, I'll have it pretty well right.
You're obviously a fan of Paris-Roubaix because you went into the cobblestones in the gutter. Robbie thought you were worried about the guy behind you.
Yeah, I lost it a bit on the end there.
Seriously, what do you think? Time. Have a punt.
1:47.
1:38.5. You missed Nick Green by a second.
Oh, let's do it again. I reckon I can do him.
Well done.
Thanks, boys.
Mate, thank you.
And thanks for the advice.
Great effort.
Good meeting a superstar.
We warned you. We said he was competitive. But, Robbie, there's competitive and there's Dwayne Russell.
Oh, there's competitive much. I mean, coming back and asking if he can have another go at it because he wants to beat his own time. But most people are ready to spew in a bucket after one lap around there, and he's just going, no, I've got to line up again, I'm going again.
To his credit, so he did a 1:38.5 the first time around, and he went a second better, 1:37.5. But I think it was the clip-in.
Well, bit the clip in and probably not putting himself in the gutter the second time around. He was a lot more cautious of riding up the middle of the road on the second lap. But I tell you, I was really surprised he actually beat his time, even with prior course knowledge and pacing. Just the fact that he'd done it already once. So it was a major effort.
Next week, we're going from an AFL footballer to an Olympic skier, and it's going to be Cardia Kremer who's on the hot lap. But coming up next, we're talking about the World Championships. There's one race to go. It's the Elite Men's Road Race. Australia's won it once before with Cadel Evans in 2009. Last year, a silver medal for Simon Gerrans. Robbie, a silver medal, so close for you as well. And Matt Goss, a silver medal behind Mark Cavendish. Can we get another gold medal?
I think we can. And the man everyone's talking about, he's talking about himself a lot. His manager's talking a lot about him. Michael Matthews, he's a definite favourite for this race. He fits in that category of guys like Degenkolb, like Sagan, like Christoph, like Andre Greipel. There's a number of fast classics types guys.
How much of that talk that he's doing himself is actually part of the psychological game, but also asserting himself as the leader of the Australian team ahead of Simon Gerrans?
Yeah, well, he's pumping his own tyres up, but he's also trying to get that support of the national team. It's one of those things, you've got all these guys from different trade teams brought together. You've got to form a team around yourself and create alliances, and if you can, you'll get the whole team behind you. Funny thing is that the guy that Michael Matthews is sort of trying to almost put on the outer, if you like, is his teammate at Orica Greenedge, Simon Gerrans, who hasn't had the best year. Well, he's had a shocker. He's had more broken bones and hot dinners.
We talk of the curse of the rainbow jersey.
But I tell you what, he can prepare for a race like no other. He's ridden the Vuelta, he's on the up. Question mark, how well is he going to recover from the Vuelta? How good is he going to be on the day? Only he knows, but if there's anyone in the bunch who can pick his moment better than anybody, it's Simon Gerrans. He could be the one who brings the sprinters undone.
So you've spoken about Sagan, Degenkolb, Christoph, Matthews, Gerrans. What about Gilbert or Valverde?
Well, they're guys who are going to take their chance. They know they can't let it just come down to a sprint up against the likes of Christoph, Matthews, Sagan et al. But you know, Gilbert, he is gutsy. He will throw it all out there and he will go in the final. I think it's going to be a very standoffish race. The course is not overly difficult. It's a little bit technical. All the hills come towards the end. I don't think anyone will be prepared to go out for more than a lap to go. They're going to wait to that last possible moment. Gilbert's going to try and out-lactic everybody, make a really strong attack over those last couple of hills and try and hang on. Valverde, same. He's not going to sit back and just wait for it to happen. He'll make it happen. 4
bronze medals, 2 silver medals. I'd love to see him make a move on the second last hill and Gerrans go with him, and those two together to the finish.
Question is, who's going to do a turn then? Because they're both so cagey.
Yeah.
They're not going to give anything to each other, and you know, they're always up there. But I think this one's going to be for the fast classics types guys. It's sprinters, but not pure sprinters.
Rightio. One name.
Degenkolb.
All right, you're on Degenkolb. I'm going to go with Peter Sagan.
Yeah. Christoph.
You've swapped in already. I'm going to stick with Sagan. So he's gone to Christoph and
Matthews.
This is the podium, or are we picking one name?
No, I'm picking one name.
Okay, so it's
but probably
wide open.
Greipel will beat them all. I think he'll hang on. He's a good chance.
He's a chance. It's wide open. It could be anyone's.
I don't know.
No, nor do I. You give us your tips as well, and then watch all the races live on SBS. Till next week, safe riding.